was 12. I loved costumes, and honestly, I thought the only convention that existed in the entire world was Dragon Con. I didn't know other things existed, and so when I was 12, I was going to hitchhike my way to Dragon Con, whether my parents took me or not, because they were poor farmers, and I loved them to death. And so my first costume, Mom decided to take me to Hobby Lobby and got me just tons and tons of those packages of those really crappy feathers. And I was going to make an original costume because I didn't know I could just be whatever I wanted. And then it didn't happen. So I put it away, and then I picked it back up for a Renaissance fair later on, and it's just kind of back and forth. I didn't actually get to start cosplaying until I was 23, 24, because real life happened. I went through paramedic school, and then I went through the police academy, and then I got married, and sad. And then I realized a couple years later, holy crap, I don't have anything that I'm doing now. So I decided to pick up cosplay, and that's when I finally got into it. So.
What was I guess my question was, what was it that got you into? Was it a Halloween? Was it a costume that I always want to try? I mean, what was the impetus that got you into cosplay? You were saying about Dragon Con, but I'm saying before that, how did you know about Dragon Con? How did you know that was about costumes? What was the...
Really, I mean, there wasn't really any one thing that got me into it. When I was like 11 or 12, I've always liked to crochet and do things, and I've loved the Renaissance fair. I had no idea I could make my own costumes, that was okay to do. So I used to go on the internet, like DeviantArt's been around forever. Sure. So I used to go look at pictures, and I found Rayeath, and then I found Dragon Con, and that's all I ever saw was pictures of Dragon Con. I hated Rayeath for a long time until I came full circle around to, okay, our bodies aren't the same and she's gorgeous, but I love her costumes. It took me a long time to mature to that. But that's really where it was. It's just like perusing all that stuff. Because when I was 12, I never wanted to be a costume designer. I just really enjoyed doing different things. Because when I went to the Renaissance fair and dressed up, nobody really was like made fun of me or anything. Like I used to get made fun of in high school all the time. So it was kind of like from there doing the costumes and making them interesting, because if they were different, nobody could judge me against an existing character. But it was all around the same time, and getting to browse those pictures and things like that, really.
And I'm curious, do you use DeviantArt? I don't actually go on the site, but I'm aware of it.
I've used it before to, I'll go on there if I want to look up certain artists' work, or if there's a lot of good photo reference material on there where different illustrators and photographers and stuff will take pictures of men and women in different poses and outfits and things like that. Yeah, and swords and stabs and things, so that you have that to work from as an illustrator. So I do use it for that quite a bit. I grab from anything I can find if it's a good reference for me to work from. But I found it useful for that. I don't actually use it as a place for my artwork because I have other places for that. But yeah,
And I'm curious, how old were you when you drew your first picture? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember drawing my first picture. But I know I was drawing continuously and seriously by the age of 3 and 4. I can remember. I don't remember my first drawing, but I remember drawing at 4 years old and doing it all the time.
Do you still have any of those?
I do have some old stuff that I would say is probably from like around age 8, 9, 10. I don't have anything from before that. Okay. But I do still have some old notebooks, and I'll look at that and go, I mean, obviously, it's not what I can do now, but I still look at that and go, compared to the average 5-year-old, this is way out of most kids' league. I already understood things that most kids can't. Most kids' drawings, let's face it, are very flat.
Sure.
Very one-dimensional. And yet I already understood why light was making a form round and stuff, which most people aren't doing that until a little late. Now not to the way I am now, but I mean the basics of where it all begins, I guess you could say.
And I do have a question. As a writer, I have come across this for myself.
Sure.
Do you ever look at a picture and not remember drawing it?
Oh, yeah.
Go, when did I
Yeah.
do this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll get a lot of like, you know, junior high and high school friends will say, "Man, you remember this drawing you did for me?" No.
Well, junior high is a different story.
Yeah, I'm like.
Depends on your experiences
No,
in
and they're like,
junior
"Oh,
high.
you don't." And then they kind of, some of them take offense, like they weren't worth you remembering. And it's like, no, it's not anything personal. I've drawn millions of pictures in my life. I just can't remember everything I've ever drawn. I mean, I doodle on something and hand it to somebody. I don't remember that I drew a dove for some kid in 6th grade. You know, I just can't recall all of it. You know, I mean, it's one thing if you, I mean, I guess, you know, in any kind of artistic form, you know, if you've only done it a handful of times or where you can remember everything you've done, but I have no idea. Now, some I do. There's some that I'm like, yes, I do remember doing that, you know, but, you know, once in a while you get those that, oh, I remember you drawing this for me. Sorry, I don't recall.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. I don't mean to be offensive by it. I just simply don't recall, you know.
And I gotta ask, when did your love for Pokemon start? Was it the 80s?
Who cares about it,
comic?
right?
Was
Let's
it
talk
the
about
80s
Pokemon.
cartoon?
Okay. To be honest, I was a very shy kid growing up, and Pokemon came out right before my 11th birthday. And I have 2 instances that Pokemon kind of changed my life. The first one was it was on my birthday, 11th birthday. I was on a field trip to Science Center. And this kid was playing Pokemon Yellow, and I've never seen a Game Boy before in my life. And all these kids are like, dude, you're the coolest kid ever, let me play with that. And he goes, none of you can touch it, but Morgan can touch it. And I'm like, Morgan can what now? And I go, what is this? And he goes, it's called Pokemon. And I played it. My mom was a chaperone, and I go, Mommy, it's my birthday. Can we go to Grandpa's and buy this? And I was obsessed with that ever since. I didn't know how to save it, though, and that was a disaster for 2 months. And after that, my friends were on the Pokemon anime, and I was going to be that kid, like, it's popular. I'm going to be that kid that doesn't like the popular stuff, you know, because I'm better than that. Blah, blah, blah. So I accidentally watched it one day, and I got, like, what is this show? And Pokemon, oh, crap. I've been stuck ever since, so. It's been very special to me. Anime has been a good friend to me when I was kind of being bullied in middle school and high school and everything, before I met other amazing professionals and non-professional nerds and friends. So I'm very grateful for Pokemon for that, and all anime in general. It's fun. It's a fun world. And I write too, is why. That's why I'm here too.
Now, do you write anime style stuff?
Well,
manga?
I write young adult works, but I put a lot of nerd references in there because being an otaku myself, I get them. And it's fun when I go to conventions and I have people go, and start laughing. I know they get it. And it's lots of fun to connect with this very special, unique group. And we're growing. I mean, our culture is growing. I think that's fantastic. So I'm really proud to represent that in my work.
Very cool. I'm curious, do you ever put in inside jokes, personal references in your artistry that
Oh, yeah.
only your friends are going to
Yeah.
go,
Oh, absolutely.
I remember.
I even put my friends in my paintings.
Oh,
My
okay.
friends are my
You know,
books.
I've got L5R paintings that, you know, one of them, as a matter of fact, that Josh brought up to me to sign today, is got a character in it that's a buddy of mine that I just happened to walk in to get gas one night. He was working the midnight shift, and I was like, I need you for it. And he's like, all right. So I took a picture of him and worked right from it, you know. Yeah, I'll do little things like that, or in the background somewhere there'll be some little thing that nobody else will notice, but somebody that knows or gets the joke will be like, oh, that's cool, you put that. Or a lot of times I'll do things like, especially with like when I was doing L5R cards, like I would use the same sword or spear over and over again. I would literally, because I do my paintings digitally, take it from one painting and stick it in another. And all I'd have to do is just flip it, change the light source on it or whatever,
Rotate it.
as kind of a, just to see if people get it.
Okay.
That if they look through all my cards and they you know, they come up with a stack of cards for me to sign, they look through them, hey, that's the same spear over and over again. And it's,
So that was
it's
your
not
Easter egg,
laziness,
then?
it's actually, I'm just trying to see if people follow it that much, or to see if they get it, that it's just the same spear or the same sword or whatever over and over again in these paintings. I mean, it doesn't affect the painting, it doesn't affect, you know,
Should.
it's not like, oh, that, you can't use, you know, it's not like that.
It wasn't a sci-fi picture with a spear in it.
Yeah.
It was always appropriate for the
Right,
subject matter.
exactly, yeah.
And speaking of Easter eggs, does that happen in costuming? Do you come across people who do something that only another cosplayer, only another costume designer goes, ha 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 ha?
Oh,
It's something, an inside.
Absolutely, because you have to understand that cosplay, if you're not just talking straight up recreation, there is a genre and a group of cosplayers that the sole reason they cosplay is to make every other person in the room laugh and bust up. So you'll see some of these cosplays